All right. Let's get ourselves assembled here and bring that music down a snadge and drop the image. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and I publish them online. And we're creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition using the new 2024 rules. We're building Mecha and Kaiju campaign stuff. I've developed a Spelljammer system that got published last year or so. Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. It's on DMsGuild, and the mechanics that are in that book create the doorway for us having kaiju and mecha combat at the 50 and 500 foot scale instead of people running around in dungeons at the 5 foot scale. So it's the same type of adventure, and you're just bigger. And so we have the mechanics to scale from 5 feet to 50 feet and have them interact with each other, and then 5 to 50 to 500 feet and have everything interact at that scale. People are at the 5 foot scale. Mecha are at the 50 foot scale, and mecha any from 10 to 50 feet in size. And then we have vessels or spelljamming ships that are larger and like fighter craft up to 50 feet, and then like vessels and carrier ships and like mobile command stations. Those could be up to 500 feet in size. And the kaiju can be anywhere. Well, if you're larger than 20 feet in size in D&D, you're starting to get into kaiju territory. But for sure, kaiju are at 50 feet and larger. And they can scale up to miles in size. It just depends on the scope of campaign that you want to run. So for the campaign that we're building, we're specifically looking at the kaiju at the 50 foot and 500 foot scale initially. All this stuff that we're going to be working on today, for people that are interested, we have a bunch of links down here for the books that I've worked on. They're all 100% free preview. The Spelljammer book that the mechanics are coming from are this link here. It's free preview. Our campaign workbench that we're going to be using today for the campaign, that's here. And the Spelljammer Mecha Kaiju mechanics are here. So those are going to be the different books that we're going to be working in today. And specifically, what we want to work in is the monster manual. So we're going to jump down here to our scaling mechanics. So the damage that a creature can do is going to scale up depending, using this table here, is going to determine how many dice of damage that you deal. So if you're using a hand axe that does d6 damage at the 5 foot scale, it does 2d6 damage at the 10 foot, 3d6 at 15, 4d6 at 30, 5d6 at 50, and then 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 feet, it scales up to 10 dice. So a 5 foot character using a hand axe at d6, if it were to scale up to 500 feet, it would be a 6d10, or it'd be a 10d6 or a d6 times 10 damage. So it does. And if I'm a 500 foot person running around and I've got axes and I've got 2 attacks per round, then I'd be doing d6 times 10 damage with each tomahawk chop. So when we're building our kaiju, the monsters, we're going to use that same configuration of stacking up the dice effects, where it'll scale. Like if you've got say a gibbering mouther, who knows, that does 2d4 damage on a slam attack, and it's 100 feet in size. So instead of doing 2d4 damage, it would do 12d4, or it could be doing d4 times 10 damage. 12d4, d4 times 10, it's kind of the same difference. But generally, basically the Mouthering Gibber's damage of 2d4, we take the 2, we double that, so it'd be 12d4 instead of 2d4. So whenever that 100 foot Gibbering Mouther hits, it does 12d4 plus whatever its modifier is in damage. The hit points on these creatures scale with their size. 5 foot, you got on average like a villager's like around 10 hit points. And it scales up. So if we're looking at a 50 foot kaiju, whatever its stat block in the DMG is, or in the monster manual is, all we have to do is add 100 hit points to it and increase its damage size. If it's a 300 foot critter, it'd be 8 times its normal damage, and it would have 600 extra hit points. So you can just scale up the threat. It gets more hit points. It deals more damage. So the 20-foot mecha that we're running around inside of right now, if we had somebody with a two-handed sword, they'd be doing 6d6 damage every time they hit with the sword. And if we're fighting kaiju, like I don't know. Let's one of the monsters I want to work on today. Let's just start looking at monsters. So we're going to take this campaign here. We're going to drift down to the bottom of the document. This is our Eberron Workbench. We've been creating giant-sized creatures inside here, and today I think we had a Space Kraken. Space Kraken is Chuck. Where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Space Kraken. It's 200 feet in size. So we took the normal Kraken stat block and we upscaled it 200 feet. So scaling up by 200 takes us to an extra 400 damage. So the Space Kraken would in the player's in the monster manual. The Kraken would have 281 hit points, but because we scaled it up to 200 feet in size, it adds 400 hit points, so now it's 681. It's dealing 66 plus 10 damage every time it attacks, makes 2 attacks, and then it has all these special abilities that the Kraken would normally have. It's just basically a juiced up Kraken. That's all Kaiju really are, juiced up creatures. So we're going to take the fun, funky route of going with a chunk here. Eberron Spelljammer Mecha. Peel this out into its own folder. We're going to make, as soon as I can get my mouse to work. There we go. Let's scroll down here and let's just start making a new stat block here. Let's go with Rust Monster Kaiju. We'll make a few of these for the night. It'll be a little bit of fun. Let's see. Go to Monster Manual. And we're going to type in Rust Monster. There's a number of mineral mines that the asteroid colony is extracting resources from. So, Rust Monster. Thank you. So if you have a huge size, if you have a kaiju-sized rust monster and it's hungry, like it's got those antennas that turn metal into rust that it can then eat. They'd be like an anteater going, like dropping its antenna down into the mine shafts to rake at the ore, at the iron ore or the electrum ore or gold ore. It would be scraping at the ore, metallic ore bits that are sticking out of the earth, turning that into rust, and be able to lick and pull off of that, destroying the resource that we're trying to extract from the asteroids. So rust monsters are significant threats. So let's see what we can do with this guy. I feel like, what is a CR? The CR is 1/2, not very tough, very few hit points, decent armor class. What kind of damage does it do? Bite does D8 plus 1 piercing damage. Let's put it at. Let's see what happens if we make it a 100-foot mecha or a 100-foot kaiju. So we up it to 100 feet. It's going to do 6 dice and it'll have an extra 200 hit points. So it would do 6d8 plus 1. I know the plus 1 is kind of like really vestigial, right? But plus 1 and an extra 200 hit points that have 233 hit points. That sounds like a decent threat. So HP 233, damage bite equals 6d8 plus 1. Piercing. So that's going to do on average 6 times. It's going to do on average 24, 25 damage per hit. And the mech, and we're building 5th level characters that are going to average around 30 hit points, and the mecha that they're in have 50 hit points. So they can take a few hits before their mecha goes down and they get horribly wounded. With heals and repair spells running, they should be fine. The team of 4 or 5 should be fine against the Rust Monster Kaiju as long as the guy that's tanking is getting proper heals, or they rotate tanking so that nobody has to take more than 1 or 2 hits at a time. AC of 14 is super easy. Let's see. Move speed is 40 flight. And that can upscale to 10k per day. So to get 8 squares of movement. Flight. Because we're working at the 50 foot, the 500 foot, and all the way up to 10,000 miles per day travel time for the Spelljammer ships that we're using. They're going significantly slower than normal Spelljammer because it's just an asteroid belt, outer orbit airship campaign, not truly Spelljammer, more like a deep space airship in Eberron. So they're moving at much slower speeds than normal, so we don't need to go more than 10,000 miles per 24 hours, which is about 500 miles per hour, roughly. So these kaiju can reach 10k per day speeds, which is the same speed that Spelljammer ships can match. So you can chase you can chase these kaiju creatures out of your system and off into the poison sea if you need to. Armor class 14, initiative in it +1. Move is 8 squares. So that square could be 50 feet, it could be 500 feet. The square could be a mile. It just depends on what the further you move away from an object, the higher speeds you can reach because there's more space between you and the next touch point. So if you're just running along the ground, you're going to be pretty much at the 5 or 50 foot scale. The mecha that we're using are naturally at the 50 foot scale. People outside of mecha are at the 5 foot scale. The spelljamming vessels that carry mecha and people is at the 500 foot scale. So those are the 3 different scales that you're going to normally be operating at in this campaign. And then we scale out further 500 miles per hour. So we have a region grid. Here, I'll show you. The region grid here. So our world grid, Eberron's here in the middle in the 10,000 mile squares. With a 10,000 mile limit on our travel time per day, we can move 1 square per day from location to location. If we zoom in on the hourly scale, this is a 10,000 mile square, 20 by 20. Each square on this map is 500 miles. We can go 500 miles per hour. So if we wanted to get from, say, Crag Falls to Fellstone, that's 1, 2, it takes 3 hours to get back and forth, like 3 hours there, 3 hours back. If I wanted to get to Far Hope at location 5, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours from Crag Falls to Far Hope, for instance. If I want to travel to the next square in a hex crawl style of game, it would take me till the next day. So, and then I would be able to have a little bit of time inside of the next hex to explore before the day's over, or I can just kick through 24 hours, 24 hours, 24 hours, and then I land in the next hex somewhere along the 24-hour time frame, leaving with X amount of hours. Like roll 2d4, like roll 4d6, and that's how many hours into that last day you are travel, or like roll a d12 plus 5, or whatever your travel time the DM thinks is appropriate. That lands you in that cube, and then you zoom in again to the closer scale. So now that we've operated at the daily scale, we have, say, 2d. Let's say we have 2d6 hours left. So we have 9 hours left. So if we come into this space, like say from down here, we'd have 9 hours to travel 9 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We can get to here, and this is basically where our day is going to end, and that would be long rest, shift change day, shift change time. So then we can continue traveling with, like, say, the second shift, the second watch that's operating the ship. If we have to long rest because no one's awake or on watch to pilot the ship to continue moving, we would end up wanting to long rest somewhere around here. And there could be creatures at this location, there could be monsters at this location, there could be monsters here because this is the location that we're going to rest in. And there could also be creatures coming in from the poison sea, from that direction or this direction. They could, we can't see out into the poison sea until we get into it. And the poison sea is where the air is bad. So if you go out into the poison sea on your vessels, you are poisoned until you leave it. So these clean air paths create natural channels to float, to pilot between an atmosphere between these moons. So here's where Eberron is at the center. And each of these circles is one of the 12 moons of Eberron out to 220,000 miles away, 22 squares away from Eberron. And so these asteroid clusters occur between the orbits of Eberron, because otherwise it would have been swept clean and destroyed. So we keep these spaces between the moons are laden with asteroids, and in Eberron they're called the Tears of Sybaris. They're full of crystals and precious minerals and kaiju. And so when we go out there to mine them, we need mecha to fight the kaiju. And some of the kaiju that we're building right now is, for example, a 100-foot rust? Yeah, it's a 100-foot rust monster. So 100 feet. Let's read what it can do.
Antenna. The rust monster targets one non-magical metal object, armor or weapon, worn or carried by a creature within 5 feet of itself. Dexterity saving throw DC 11. If the creature has the object failure, it is -1 penalty to the armor class or its attack rolls. If the penalty reduces its armor class to 10, and a weapon is destroyed if its penalty reaches -5. The penalty can be removed by casting a mending spell on the armor or weapon. And a weapon is destroyed.
Okay, so let's see. It deals Bastion point damage equals 1d4. So when a rust monster attacks a iron mine or an emerald like an electrum mine or a gold mine, these are the different types of mines that are around the asteroid cluster that we're operating inside of. On this scale here in our community, we have an iron mine here and we have an electrum mine here. So if we're going to get attacked by rust monsters, it's most likely going to be one of these two locations, or there could just be something else that it's interested in amongst the other 4 locations. So I would probably roll a d12, and on a 1, 2, 3, 4, it would attack one of those, and then on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it'd most likely go off Electrum or the Iron Mine, but some variation would allow us to go for some of the other ones. And once the Kaiju attacks, it's going to deal Bastion point damage, because the Bastions that we use to build the communities, the Bastion system that we have here on our channel here and on my Discord channel, the Bastions and communities that we build that our characters are protecting are built from Bastion points, which is like a spell point resource, or like a renown, like the renown system, the piety system in D&D 5e. As you continue gaining renown, your rank increases, you get access to more stuff. The Bastion system works kind of the same way. The higher your renown gets, the higher tiers of facilities you can install in your Bastion or for a settlement among the inside of the community. So when we deal, and every time you take Bastion point damage, your effective renown score is being reduced. And so if you were able to get access to, say, 3rd rank resources because you had 35 points, if you dealt 7 points of damage and drop now, like you've taken 7 points of Bastion point damage, some of your facilities are damaged. Some of them have been worn down. In the case of like say a giant kaiju attacking, quote unquote, attacking an iron mine, where it basically flies down and then starts dipping its antenna down into the electrum mine to start strafing the ore in the tunnels to turn the ash so they can hoover them up with its anteater nose. Then it's dealing damage to that mining facility by taking away its resources, and in this case, it would be eating all the exposed electrum ore in the mine. So to repair the, say, 7 points of Bastion damage that was dealt, that would be repaired by digging out more tunnel to expose new ore. And if you don't kill the rust monsters, they're just going to come back and deal more damage again, maybe in a week or two. Like next Bastion turn, you've got rust monsters showing up again. Every Bastion turn, they show up to take a piece of your electrum mine. And you have an iron mine as well. So if you have an infestation of rust monster kaiju, they are just constantly chewing on your iron and on your ore. And with Eberron, in an asteroid, the deeper you bore into an asteroid, the more likely it is that you're going to crack open Kyber. Kyber in Eberron, for those that don't know, is the mythic Underdark of the world of Eberron. Kyber is the dragon below. Sybaris is the dragon above, and then Eberron is the dragon here. And Eberron became the planet Cerberus became the sky and the asteroid belt system that we're rotating through, and Kyber became the Underdark. And so when you crack through Eberron deep enough and you hit Kyber, it's almost like you've struck oil. This
Okay, apparently I knocked out my Yeti microphone. I have no idea the quality of sound that we're getting right now. Sorry about that, folks. Let's mute that for a second and let's listen in ourselves to see how it sounds. Do you want to check that for a second? And yeah, that's not super good, but it's doable. Damn it! I'm gonna have to figure out what happened to my microphone. I think I damaged the cord. But hey, at least we had a solution. So let's get back into this. I'm not sure exactly when we lost sound, but we were talking about rust monsters. Hold on, let me go find where we were last listening here.
Out more tunnel to expose new ore. Through Eberron deep enough and you hit Kyber, it's almost like it struck oil. This
There it was. I hit my microphone and I just disabled my sound. Fudge. Oh, okay. Well, we'll see how that comes back in. Luckily we have the backup microphone on my camera. It's not good, but at least it's there. So let's see. Let me get back. Yeah. So the rust monster, it deals damage to the facility. So they have to then to repair it. They have to dig out more rock, and eventually they'll crack open Kyber. When they do, in my Eberron, it's like popping the pressure on oil. All this evil just starts gushing out of the breach into the cavern that you were digging in, and it'll probably kill most of the miners. But now it's flooded with all this evil that spawns into creatures. When the oil of Eberron settles, it spawns into creatures, and now you've got a random horror shop running around. So that becomes like a 5-room dungeon to run around and do battle with smaller scale. Like this would be at the 5-foot scale, characters equipping themselves out of their mecha, or maybe at best equipping 10-foot hauler mecha to then go down into these tunnels and fight the monsters that are there. But they're too small for the mecha that we pilot. The mecha are designed to fight kaiju. Kyber eruptions in mines, that's human scale stuff. So that would be a different adventure inside the same campaign where we're now running through a dungeon and fighting monsters in there. And it's just a mine. It doesn't have to be huge. It's not like you're questing for some artifact or something that's buried beneath the Temple of Qual or whatever. There was an incursion of Kyber and you have to clean it up. So that becomes like a little one-shot 5-room dungeon, cleaning out the mine so they can repair it and continue working to gather that resource for your Bastion community. So that's how that system works. We have the 5-foot scale fighting Kyber incursions or Kyber eruptions in the asteroid mines. We have kaiju that are either attacking the mines, like in the case of this rust monster. We can, let's see, let's see if there's another exotic, interesting monster. But if our mecha are dealing, like that great sword is going to deal 6d6 plus probably like 5 damage whenever it hits, then it's going to do on average, what is that going to be, like 18 hit points on average, and this thing has 233 damage before it dies. You got a team of 4 at 5th level. They've got 2 attacks. This kaiju would probably last about 6 rounds, and it takes an average 3 hits from a single rust monster to drop one of the characters using average hit points. So that's 12. That's likely somewhere around 12 attacks coming in on the it'd be on a team of 4. 2 of them are probably going to have 2 attacks. It's going to take us to 6 attacks that are probably going to do anywhere from 18 to 40 damage depending on what kind of spell power we're using. So on average, let's say 20 damage off of 6 attacks is 120 damage. This rust monster would probably last like 2 rounds, maybe 3, possibly 4. So the team should be able to kill the rust monster faster than the rust monster can kill any of them, but it'll deal significant damage that would need to be treated. Like, it's going to chop 25, 30 points of damage per hit on average. So it's nothing to ignore. When you get hit, you're going to have to spend resources to repair yourself. So it's going to do the good job of depleting resources while being something that you can survive. It's just chasing off the rust monster and then maybe getting out exposed space so you can start hitting it with siege weapons from your carrier ship, maybe 3 or 4 rounds of combat, and then that kaiju is done. And then we can have a number of small combat events like that amongst the different asteroid debris, different density of cloud systems that come drifting through on the weather system, as well as kaiju directly attacking on the surface of any of the asteroids, like eating sheep across fields, or chasing down herds of horses and eating them. Like, whatever a kaiju needs to eat, it's going to find either vegetation, mineral, or animal matter for it to consume, and it has to consume a lot of it. So we have to chase them away to go fight their own. Like, they'll come out of the poison sea to go hunting for, like, basically hunter-gather. They're basically gathering off of these asteroids any kind of organic material or inorganic, depending on the creature, that's just there and available to them. They have to hunt and fight in the poison sea. That's where shit's dangerous. It's in these clear zone areas where where human population exists, and normal beasts are at. That's easy, like easy pickings for these kaiju to come through. But one kaiju could clear off an asteroid in fairly short order and make it like a weekly meal and deplete that whole asteroid like in a couple weeks, and then it moves on to another one. So you got to get them out of there. You have to chase them away or kill them, and if they chase away, they're going to come back. So if they dive off into the poison sea to try to get away from you, you can go in after them, but you're going to be poisoned the entire time that you're in there. So if you chase them into the murk, you're on their territory. There's other predators that are out there, and everything that you do is at disadvantage until you get out of it. So this region, all this poison sea area that surrounds these clear pathways, are literally just stalked by monsters that will come out of the mist and attack, or they'll leap through. Like occasionally they might like take a journey through one side to get to the other. So you could have like a pod of Kandori, for example, space whales, come floating through here and then be chased by a bunch of scavvers that are chasing them. And if you're, say, over here when that happens, they may ignore the Kandori and decide to come after you instead. So there's risks moving from asteroid to asteroid. There's risk living on an asteroid. Your characters have the carrier ship that acts as the sheriff and deputies to protect this community from massive scale kaiju threats, and to clean out any Kyber eruptions inside of the asteroids, as well as dealing with space pirates that might try to steal resources from your community, along with any other existential threat that may come along. Your characters are basically the go-to to solve whatever problem. So you have a carrier ship where you carry your mecha in, and it also acts as the trade caravan moving from one community to another. They load up your vessel with all the material that needs to be moved. So most of your week is spent hauling material back and forth between these different colony locations. And so at any given time when an encounter occurs, you're going to be at 1d6 of these locations, and the threat is going to be located at 1d6 of these locations. So if you're at Scaver's Cove 6 and the kaiju attack happens to be at Scaver's Cove, you're going to arrive before any damage can be dealt, and you can potentially chase them off before they even hit the community. But if you're over here at say at Crag Fall number 2 and Kaiju attack number 5, Far Hope, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 hours away. So if Kaiju attack over here, and when we roll the die to see how long the Kaiju is going to be there, if the Kaiju finishes its meal before it leaves, you just can't do anything about it. The community has taken damage. The community can try to fight off the Kaiju as an ability check, as a skill challenge that your team can run. We can't get our characters there on time. We're gonna have to we're just gonna have to tell them they have to take care of themselves. We're not close enough. That would initiate a skill challenge to see if the barracks and the soldiers in the barracks are able to fend off the Kaiju from dealing damage. And yes or no, we don't know. So that's the idea. So every hour that we're there, you can make a skill challenge test to see if you prevent damage that hour. So if it's going to deal D6 damage and you roll a 4, then it's going to stay there for 4 hours and it's going to deal 4 bastion points of damage to the community, disabling facilities and resources that the community was using, and they're now too damaged to use. Like, he destroyed our aqueduct, so now we can't use our aqueduct resources. It's going to take 2 bastion points of repair to get the aqueduct back up and running because the Kaiju dealt damage. So you see how that works? The number of hours that the Kaiju is there is going to deal damage each hour that it's there. The community does an opposed skill challenge to see if they can absorb and prevent any of the damage that the Kaiju is attempting to deal. And unto itself, they can attempt to retaliate and potentially deal damage if they have the means to retaliate. But generally, the mecha that your characters carry is the retaliation. The Bastions can defend themselves, but they aren't assembled into an army to take the offense. All they can do is try to drive creatures away. They can't chase them down. That's what you're for. And if you're too far away to chase them down, the best they can do is mitigate damage. But if they take too much damage, even the barracks could get destroyed, and now they can't defend themselves at all. And the Kaiju is rampaging. So by the time the characters get there, it's already done a lot of damage. It's going to take, every time you issue a Bastion order, you can do a die roll worth of repair points. At this rank, Scavenger's Code is first rank, so it would only do D4 worth of repair. Far Hope is second rank, that'd be a D6. Capital Rock is third rank. It would repair D8 damage, D6, D6, D4, D4. So 1D8, 2D4, and 3D6 is the different community sizes, being a hamlet, a village, a town, village, hamlet. So hamlet, village, town, city, metropolis are the 5 ranks, and the damage or their defense die or the attack or the amount of damage they can deal if they assemble as an army and then go attack another community is D4, D6, D8, D10, D12. It's the proficiency dice in the variant rule of proficiency dice in the DMG from 2014. We're just using that scaling 5 ranks of CR up to 1, CR up to 5, CR up to 9, CR up to 13, and then any CR 14 or above is considered 5th rank. When we Kaiju size these, so the Rust monster that we were looking at as a Kaiju, it's CR 1/2. So the amount of damage that this would do is D4 because it's up to a CR1 is a D4, up to CR5 would be D6. When you Kaiju size them, they can start dealing bastion points of damage, which is damage to structures and communities, large enough to rampage and destroy buildings while it's rampaging. And again, that destruction is reflected in the amount of bastion points of damage that you deal. So this Kaiju would deal D4 points of bastion damage per round or per hour that it's attacking the asteroid. And depending on how far away the team is going to determine how many hours it can deal damage. It could potentially flatten the cove altogether. We did maps for every community asteroid. So if we go in and look at the settlements, there we go. Like here's one of our settlements. Every hour Which one is this one? This one is Capitol Rock. This is the Capitol building, or the capital of the community. It's 60 miles in diameter. Each one of these squares is 30 miles. And so when the kaiju attacks, every hour that it's there, we roll a d20 to determine which triangle it's present in and dealing damage to. If there's anything like this is unused territory, this is unused territory, this one is in use, this one's in use, this one's in use, this one's in use. So we have them marked that they're being used by these squares. Anywhere that has squares inside of them are or circles. Circles and squares means active areas. So if the kaiju attacks here, for instance, and we have the 0 here, that means that it is currently being used. So if the kaiju attacks here, it's going to deal d4 bastion points of damage to the structures and community that's located in this 30-mile area, and that then becomes disabled. So when the kaiju attack is over and they can get back to repair, we know what triangles on our asteroids have been damaged. Here's another one. And you can see here it has far less squares throughout the community. So it only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one's redstone, which is just a hamlet. So these are all the structures. Each one of these squares is what is it? 5 miles? Yeah. Each one of these squares is 5 miles on this rock. So if it rolls like a 1, 2, 3, 4, it deals no damage. If it does 17, 18, 19, 20, or like a 12, like a 9, a 10, and a 6, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. If it rolls those numbers, there's no settlement there. So technically it doesn't do any damage to you. So we have this crapshoot of is it in a triangle? Is it attacking a triangle that's going to deal damage? And if it is, it's going to roll its bastion damage. So we could get lucky. If it's going to take 5 hours for us to get there, we might get lucky that it rolls and attacks triangles where we don't have any community. We won't take any actual damage. It's just going to tear up the terrain a little bit and take off, depending on what it is for different reasons. If it actually gets into a community, then it's going to deal this much damage that hour. So if it lands like in this triangle here, it's going to deal damage to the main community and one of the farming communes. If it then rolls here, the next hour, it's going to deal damage to the farming communes. So we would then X off, like we'll X off, this has already been attacked, this has been attacked. So we would take those out of rotation. Like if it rolls one of those numbers again, then it doesn't deal any extra damage. It's just basically combing over what it's already chewed on. So we deal the d4 points of bastion damage here, and we deal d4 points of bastion damage here. And yeah, and there you go. So depending on the site, like this would probably only have like 1 point of resources in this triangle over here. But it's probably got about like maybe like 7 resources over here. So that D4 could do significant damage to the urban center of this hamlet if it happened to land on this particular 1 out of 20 triangles. The urban center of the asteroids is always there's always just like one major urban center. Like our major urban center is on this one is here. This is our major urban center on the capital right here. So if we like this is our natural 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20. 1, 2, 3. So if you roll a natural 1, it hits your largest population point. If you roll a natural 20, it hits your most remote unused location. Everything in between 1 and 20 is closer or further away from damaging facilities. And we have the point systems that we broke down over the past. We're on episode 25 of building this campaign. So we built out all those communities probably like around episode, I want to say 16 to 23 is the time that we spent to build out all of the communities and the bastions and the defense structures and the points for all those communities for me as a DM to be able to use narratively with mechanics to express how these kaiju are damaging. And if the kaiju does 6 points of damage to that community, we're going to lose access to six facilities that Bastion had, our characters could have used during their downtime or during their Bastion turn to provide them with stuff. So since it's been decommissioned, they wouldn't be able to make use of those resources. So they want to fight the Kaiju off so they can get the downtime and Bastion turn order perks that you get from Bastions to be able to build stuff and equip your characters and start creating magic items and healing potions and gather information and scout and all the things that you can do with your Bastions with this system. We lose access to those when they get damaged. So you then have to spend time instead of patrolling the area around you for more kaiju dangers, you have to spend time on repairing the barracks and your hangar bay so that you can get patrol ships and troops up and running to start protecting you again. You see how that works? So it all works together, and it's all gamified with point values so that as kaiju attack, they take your points away, like we've been talking. So that's how that system works. So looking at rust monsters as a threat, they would deal D4 Bastion points of damage to the Electro mines if they can get their feelers down into those tunnels and start turning all the ore into dust for it to then consume. So rust monsters, I think, are a fun threat at this scale because they're not conventional monsters that want to eat people. They're after your resource. And in the Bastion campaign system, there's mineral, plant, and animal resources. So whenever you have a creature, you decide which resources is it interested in consuming from the community. It's going to be one or more minerals, plants, or animals. And depending on what the colony has is going to determine how content it is with like chasing sheep and horses. Like if it's an animal consuming kaiju and it's on a barren rock except for the iron mine, then it's going to eat the miners. That's the food source because we're all animals, so it's going to eat us. If it's an herbivore, if it wants plant materials and it's attacking fields, then it could potentially deal damage to the farmland there and crush the farming commune, eat all the crops, eat the cherry trees, whatever. It's dealing plant damage, and so if you have farming going on, you're extracting plant resources to provide for your community a stable income for a lifestyle that the community can manage. So if you damage the crops, you damage the lifestyle that's maintained, and once it gets below poor level into squalid and wretched, there's rioting, there's people stealing from each other, there's looting. It turns into riot and chaos because you've driven the standard of living so low that everyone's in chaos. And in this instance, with the kaiju attacking, it's basically everything has been smashed. And until we can get things in repair, it's like things are crazy out here. We can't trust that. We can't trust what's going to happen out here. We're all at risk. So that's the narrative that wraps around the point values that are attached to this Bastion point system of expressing facilities and damage done to facilities. So, but we've talked about that for the last 20 some odd episodes. So if you're interested in that stuff, go check out the previous streams, or you can join my Discord channel that's linked down below and ask questions. And the access to this content, it's read only, but it's going to be published on the DMsGuild once it's done. The Bastion Campaign stuff that I was talking about, all this stuff's going to get published on the DMsGuild for you guys to use. And like all the other books I have down below, they're all 100% free preview. So hey, let's go. Let's spend a little time. We built out a Rust Monster Kaiju. Super easy. Let's go. Oh, we also had done a Dark Mantle, so let's go look at the Dark Mantle real quick. We had a Cloaker Kaiju with a pod of Dark Mantles. So in this situation, the Cloaker is 3rd rank, and because it's like a CR6, no, a CR8. So the Cloaker has 92 hit points on its own. A 50-foot Cloaker has an extra 100 extra hit points, and it does 5 dice worth of damage at the 50-foot scale. So it's dealing 5d10 damage of slashing damage with its 50-foot tail, or it can envelope an attack once per round as a bonus action, and it has a Sonic Whale that has a 600-foot range. That deals that still has the same Wisdom saving throw DC 13, but I believe it stuns you if you fail that saving throw, so you don't get to act that turn. And when you're operating at the 50-foot scale, that's 12 squares away from where you're at. So at the 5-foot scale is a 60-foot cone, and sorry, it's an emanation. It's a 60-foot emanation, which is also 12 squares on the map. So we can develop dungeon maps out of asteroid fields, and we can develop dungeon maps out of the iron and electrum mine. We can also have forest paths, kind of like cornfields. You can have kaiju running in forests that are, a 200-foot tree, and you've got a 100-foot kaiju knocking trees over, making a pathway through the forest. The kaiju can, our mecha have flight capabilities, and so do all the kaiju. They can all fly from asteroid to asteroid, but for them to feed, they have to be along the ground where they're going to be able to pull the plant life. So these kaiju can carve paths through forests as it's feeding on the trees as it goes. So you're kind of carving your forest grid into all these tracks where it's chewed up and eaten stuff, which in itself isn't that big of a deal because you can fly above it and attack the kaiju from above, but it can also turn around and retaliate and attack you as well. But its main concern is feeding. If you're attacking it, it might prioritize feeding on whatever it is that's feeding on, and once it's gotten enough, either food or taken enough damage, it will just naturally leave on its own, and you can then potentially chase it down and kill it, or drive it away. If you just drive it away, it's just going to come back, so you gotta kill them. But if it dives off into floating, into a floating mess of asteroids, then you're not going to be able to get a clear shot on it with your siege weapons, because creatures that are 50 feet or smaller in size that have that have some sort of cover, you can't attack them with siege weapons. The rules of the Spelljammer system that we built was 50 feet or smaller, siege weapons can't attack you directly. You have to flush them out so they don't have any cover, so you can get a clear shot to hit them. Things that are larger than 50 feet in size can be attacked with siege weapons, but cover gives the +2, +5 bonuses like usual. So if a 50-foot or smaller creature is using obstacles to conceal it from taking siege damage, that's why you have fighter craft and anti-personnel weapons on your ships, so that you can zoom in at close range. Which is why we have mecha, because there's so many asteroids in orbit around that provide cover for these creatures that you have to draw them out in the open to be able to start hitting with siege weapons. And they'll do everything they can to stay hidden in the asteroids so that they can't be targeted like that. So you have to send mecha after them to flush them out. So your job might be, if you can kill the kaiju on your own, good job. But if you can't, draw them out or flush them out so that your gunship, your carrier ship with siege weapons can gun it down when it becomes available. So you're coordinating your attacks to try to push it out of the cover. So your tactics are a little different than just kill it, because the kaiju might be too big for you, that's dangerous, it'll kill you. And you have to kind of judge that when you're looking at it. Like, get an idea of how big is it. We know that's how many hit points it's going to have. We know that's what the scale of damage it's going to do automatically, because we know how kaiju work. We all do. So you'll know that's a 200-foot kaiju. It's going to do 6 times its normal damage, and it's going to have an extra 300 hit points on top of it. So that might be bigger than we can kill. So we should flush it out so we can take it down with siege weapons. Where we have trebuchets that are doing 8d10, they're doing d8 times 10 damage on a hit. A couple trebuchet shots and you could easily drop a 100-foot kaiju. 6 or 7 shots and you'll kill a 200-foot kaiju. More weapons means kill faster, and our ship can be bristling with weapons if we can build up the resources to have them. So we don't start off with a bunch of weapons. We start off with whatever it is that we've got, and then using our Bastion turns, we build new siege weapons to add to the armaments of our vessel, and we build bigger, better mecha to fight better kaiju as we gain levels. So all these things level up with each other. More weapons, bigger mecha, bigger kaiju, bigger threats. So it all scales just like a normal D&D campaign. It's just we're operating at a larger scale. So Cloaker, 193 at the 50-foot scale. A 300-foot kaiju would have 600 extra hit points. So that's ridiculous. Attacks, 5d10. 2 attacks at 5d10 plus 3. See, this thing's dangerous. They're also really fucking smart.
So those will be a big challenge. And it's leading a posse of 20-foot Dark Mantles. So they're all colossal-sized Dark Mantles. They get an extra 40 hit points for being 20 feet in size. So these CR 1/8 Dark Mantles as a 20-foot Kaiju, quote-unquote, it has 62 hit points, and it deals 3d6 plus 3 bludgeoning damage. Our characters, on average, are going to have around 75 hit points while they're in their mecha, unless they modify them to have more. The base will be, these guys will have around 75 hit points. So this thing's going to tear out about 10, 11 points of damage per hit, but there's 4 of them. So if they're all connecting, they're dealing 40 points of damage per round, but it's going to be spread out amongst multiple targets, and there's going to be missed chances. But they could glom onto you like a Dark Mantle does, and just start tearing away at the mecha's frame, as Dark Mantles do. They're just at the 50-foot scale instead of the 5-foot scale. You see how that works? We have the Illithid Slaver ship that we built. I won't go into details about that right now. Ice Elementals we built at the 50-foot, 100-foot, and 200-foot scale Ice Elementals, because there's an elemental, there's a Frisia manifest zone that has incurred wrong square. Here, this is our Frisia manifest zone, and this is cold enough to kill crops. This dark area is cold enough to deal cold damage every round, and it will absolutely destroy these communities if it continues to grow in size. And it's been growing, so it's a threat. But it's chock full of ice elementals. It was deposited here when the moon came by, and it basically just triggered a manifest zone to Frisia. And because the moon was full, it acts as a portal that dumps out natives of the plane that I forget the name of the moon for Frisia, but in my Eberron, the moons aren't physical surfaces that you can walk on. They are portals that open to the other planes. So we could go plane hopping if we wanted to intercept the moon while it's full. We could literally fly to the moon and through it into the plane, like the moon of Shavaroth. I forget, I don't remember the names of any of these moons, but Shavaroth is the furthest away. Each square takes a day to get to. So from where we're at here, basically Shavaroth is where the angels and demons and the blood war happens. So, and that's like, yeah, that's seriously like 20 squares away. So it would take 20 days for the characters to get to Shavaroth here, or at best when it comes by, it'd be like 15 squares away if you catch, like if you're on an intercept course from here and just go straight, you'll end up hitting Shavaroth over here. But we'll have to figure out, if you wanted to do that, where is the moon full? Because only when the moon is full can you cross into that plane, and will creatures spill out. At any width of fullness, it's possible for creatures to pour out of that plane into orbit here. But when it's full, it's highly likely, and you can cross into that world. So if you need to go to Shavaroth, if you wanted to go to Shavaroth, you'd have to find where in its orbit will it be full next, and then plot an intercept course to meet it at that point. And then you can plane shift into the plane of Shavaroth to do whatever Shavarothy things you need to do there, whatever those things may be. That's the idea behind that. So let's go fishing, shan't we? For monsters. So what time is it? It's 8:30. I've got about another 20 some odd minutes today. I'm going to be back. I do artwork Monday through Friday in the mornings for the books that I publish, and currently I'm about a week or so away from publishing an adventure for Eberron in Karnath, fighting undead demons and necromancers in the Karnwood, which is central east northern side of Karnath. But we've been doing artwork for Monday through Fridays forever. And is about to publish. On Saturdays, we do color mana for Magic the Gathering, converting MTG color system into D&D spellcasting mechanics and character build options. So like we can build Dimir assassins that use blue and black mana to create powers and trigger spell effects that are also blue and black, fighting, say, Azorius mind detectives that are using white and blue mana to cast spells and trigger powers and abilities. So we've been converting D&D 5e into the color magic paradigm because Wizards won't. So we decided to do it for them and publish it on the DMsGuild. That's linked down below, but we'll continue working on that Saturday morning. And then, so artwork Monday through Friday during the week. Saturday morning, we do color mana stuff. Mondays and Thursday nights like this, we do Bastion, Mecha Kaiju campaign stuff. And we'll be building the Bastion Campaign book that we'll also be publishing on DMsGuild. We already published the Spelljammer book that's linked down below. We'll be also publishing these Mecha and Kaiju rules. After we play this campaign, we'll have proven it, that it works, and fleshed out all the nuances to give guidance on how to build these things and run your campaign. So between the Mecha Kaiju book, the Spelljammer book, the Bastion Campaign book, you can build a campaign exactly the way that we're building it. I've been talking here for the past hour or so. You can build a similar campaign if you wanted to. You'll have all the tools available. And if you want to be on board with that, if you want to playtest that kind of stuff, my Discord channel is linked down below. Join and just say why you're here and what you're interested in getting involved in, and we'll start building out some stuff with you guys. So that's the idea. So back on track. Let's build some more kaiju. Let's see what's gonna be. If anyone is sticking around and listening to the conversation, and they have a specific type of creature that they want to see converted into a kaiju, just ask, and I'll build it. It's super. You already saw the scale. It only takes like 5 minutes to make a kaiju of anything up to 500 feet in size and beyond. It's pretty easy to do it. So right now I'm just looking for weird creatures that might be interesting to, turn into creatures. I'm going to actually select. Let's go with let's show advanced features and limit our palette to what type of creatures we're going to look at. So let's go with legendary, conditions, language, vulnerability, damage, source category, monster subtypes, movement type, no, monster tags. There we go. Yeah, aberration looks good. Sure, why not? Let's look at brutes. Let's see, we should have monstrosities down here. So let's see, monstrosity is an option. The letter M. Monstrosity looks good. Do we have monster subtypes? Interesting. What's another good one? Oozes? Let's look at oozes. How about that? Where's my ooze? That's obnoxious. Did I miss something? Doesn't seem like it. Titan. Is that going to be? I wonder if that's going to be enough. Let's start there. Let's see what that finds for us. Fuck all. I did it wrong. I was supposed to. I'm not used to how these freaking tools work. It's the show advanced filters. Filter monsters. Nope, that's what I was supposed to do. Why isn't that? Man, this thing is just not. Can I like? See, yeah, they only show me one at a time. I'm trying to see all of these things at the same time, dude. Not the monster type. Don't care. Don't care about size, CR, name, type, size, alignment, habitat, tags. I don't give a crap about any of that shit. Why can't I look at a stack of creatures that are just like undead and aberrations? Why can't I do that? Nope, didn't get a goddamn thing. Fine, we'll just go with aberrations. We'll go with aberrations. Oh god, now I gotta get rid of the filters. Reset all filters. Thank you. Now we'll go for aberrations, and we'll see if we find anything that's worth anything. Ooh, aboleth. Aboleth might not be a bad idea. CR is 10. Hit points is 150. I'm going to, yeah, I could see an Aboleth. I'm going to avoid that. That doesn't feel like just like a random kaiju. I think I want something dumber. Aboleth are too fucking smart. I don't think, Beholders, like, they're too smart. They wouldn't be kaiju. I want to take monstrosities, aberrations, maybe monstrosities and beasts would be better for me to go with. But let's try this real quick. Let's see what kind of stuff we come up with. Choker. Subterranean Predator. Far more dangerous in its small size and spindly rubbery limbs would suggest. Chokers have cartilage rather than body skeletons, like trappers and chokers. Unusual. Nah, let's not use that one. Let's go find something. I'm fishing for kaiju. If anyone has a suggestion about what kind of creature they want to see me kaijify, I will do it. Ooh, Chol. Chol will be a good kaiju. Let's do that. What's your CR, buddy? CR4. So that's a second rank. That's a second rank kaiju. And so let's build out a Chol. Chol kaiju. And we're gonna call it. Has 76 hit points normally. That's gonna be really tough for our characters. Let's make them 100 feet. No, if they're 100 feet, let's call them 50 feet. 50 feet in size. So a 50-foot Chol is going to use. It's going to deal 5 dice. It's going to deal 5 times its normal damage. It's going to have 100 extra hit points, but otherwise the stat block stays the same. So let's go ahead and see how that pans out. HP is going to be 176. That's suitable for a gain of 5th level characters dealing 20 points of damage a pop. AC is 16. It is second rank, so it deals. It does D6 Bastion point damage equals 1d6. Oh, good point. A rust monster. Hunts minerals. Hunts animals. And it deals 5 times its normal damage. Multi-attack. 2 pincers and uses paralyzing tentacles. Pincers. Paralyzing tentacle. Our mecha have just normal hit points like you would expect. Use your normal stats like you would expect. Everything's just at the 50-foot scale instead of the 5-foot scale. Plus 6. And has a 100-foot reach. Again, we're using 50-foot squares instead of 5-foot squares, so it can hit 2 squares away. Sorry, it wouldn't be. It's 50 feet, so it can hit things the same distance as its size. So it's 50 feet in size. It can hit 50 feet away. If it was 100 feet in size, it could hit 100 feet away. Just like a large-sized creature that's 10 feet tall can hit things 10 feet away. So that's your scaling. So 50-foot reach. It's going to deal 5. Again, it's going to deal at 50 feet. It's going to deal 5 times its normal damage. So the pincer does D10 plus 4 damage. So it's going to be 5d10 plus 4 damage. I know that plus 4 is comical, right? It just keeps things random. It could be 5d10. I could scale that up. You know what? Let's do that. Let's scale that. If I scale that up, it's going to be dealing 5d10 plus 20 damage. I'm okay with that. And that means that the rust monster, it's scaled up 6 dice, so it's going to do 68 plus 6 damage. Ice elementals, 50-foot scale, it's going to be plus 20. I'm sorry, that wasn't. Let's fix that. What was it? It was +1. It's 5 times. Yeah, that's right. 6 times the size. Yeah, so it's going to be +6. That's right. And then the 200 foot that uses 7 times the scale. Holy shit. That'd be an extra 1d8 plus 16. That is ridiculous damage. If I do that 7 times, that's 70 plus 110 damage roughly. D8 times 10 plus 110, that's too much. Let's call it plus 40. Oh, I bet it was plus 16, yeah, maybe. Plus 8, we're going to do that. 100 feet is going to be 6 times, so it'll be, let's just call it plus 30 instead. I'm just eyeballing these things right now. Plus 4, it's 5 times, that'd be an extra plus 20. That feels too strong, so let's do an extra plus 10 instead. Let's see if we can build a curve on that. Rust monster, that's fine. This guy, plus 20, 5d10 plus 20, that feels right. Okay, I'm fine with that. Paralyzing Tentacle, what does that do? Oh, and then plus grapple, DC 14. And it can grapple anything up to 100 feet in size. And if it's like if you were operating at the 5-foot scale, then it would catch you and you would automatically be at disadvantage. If you're at the 5-foot scale and you're fighting a kaiju at 50 feet, it's going to basically add 10 to its DCs for holding you. So you would have to beat a grapple check DC 24 to break free of the 50-foot kaiju. So. Kaiju scale 50 feet equals DC plus 10. Kaiju scale 100 feet equals DC plus 20. So that would be a DC 34 that you would need to be able to break out up to DC. You cap at DC 30 in 5e. So 100 foot plus grappling. 50 foot scale, it's plus 10. 100 foot scale, the DC is always 30. So it's probably going to be somewhere between 20 and 30 when you're dealing with kaiju. Quick, easy rule. And then the paralyzing tentacle. Because the paralyzing tentacle isn't a physical thing, its DC remains 13. One creature grabbed by failure, the target has the poison condition and repeats the save. After 1 minute, automatically saves while poisoned, as paralyzed. Paralyzing tentacle equals con DC 13. Fail equals poisoned with paralysis 1 minute. Up to 1 minute. Save at end. There. Does D6 Bastion points because it's CR4. Armor class. Let's include its armor class real quick. AC 14. Its stats basically remain the same. For just like normally just like strength tests and shit like that, stealth checks, blah blah blah. It works like normal. It's you only so if we're operating at the 50-foot scale, this Chol is basically it would be a DC 14 to break free like our mecha that operate at the 50-foot scale versus this Chol at the 50-foot scale, the DC would still just be 14. If I was in a mecha and a Chol at the 5-foot, a large sized Chol grappled me and I'm operating at the 50-foot scale, I would only have to roll a DC of 4 because you're going to reduce it by 10. So that's very easy scaling on the DCs. Like the paralysis thing, that doesn't that's not a strength test of any sort. So your constitution, your wisdom, your intelligence, your dexterity, that all stays the same. Though you could argue that you would get an advantage on your die roll against the paralyzation because it's so small compared to you. But technically, that doesn't have an effect on, like, if this thing succeeded, if the Tarrasque failed a saving throw against it, that 70-foot monster would be paralyzed. So it doesn't technically care. And okay, so that's 2 and 1. Paralyzing tentacles. Oh, that's it. If grappled, then bonus action equals paralyzing tentacle. There we go. And while it rampages, it's doing D6 Bastion points per hour. And since it hunts animals, if it lands on an asteroid that is predominantly just plant and mineral resources, then the only animal resource that's really available is in the communities. So you're going to be far more likely to have the kaiju only attacking the instead of attacking the full 20 triangles on the D20, it's only going to attack the triangles where people are occupying those spaces. So if you raise sheep or horses or cattle, you're actually kind of saving yourself from being the automatic target of animal-eating kaiju, because they're going to eat you if they don't have anything better to eat. So you see how that works? Anyway, so that's the Chul kaiju. Let's see, what time is it? How are we doing? Yeah, we got like 15 minutes left. Let's if anyone has any recommendations or requests for building out a kaiju, as you can see, they're super easy to build. And let's just drift our way down into like Cosmic Horrors 2 on the nose, right? It's also way too high of a. It's way too difficult for our creatures at the our characters at 5th level, and even though they are in Mecha, still going to outpace them too heavily. I didn't know Death Slod were considered aberrations. Well, that's neat. I didn't know Darrow were considered aberrations. Learn something new every day. I can see us using some Fae. Dolgaunt. I'm not feeling that one. Let's look at what the Dolgrim is. I can see us using some Fae. Okay, we're here. Let's look at the Dolgaunt. I think those are. I can't see the illustration good in that little thumbnail. See, yeah, that's too humanoid. It's not quite right. I like them to be beasts, monstrosity, ideally monstrosities and aberrations. Though this is too humanoid, and its carrying weapons is too intelligent. Like, yeah, this is an Eberron creature. That's again it's too sentient. Yeah, we don't want kaiju to be sentient creatures. We want them to be some sort of a monster. Preferably like animal type intelligence monsters. Exceptions can exist, but that's the general vibe that we want. Eyemonger. What the hell is an Eyemonger? Oh yeah, that's well, let's look at that real quick. The Eyemonger. I think that's a Spelljammer creature. Yeah, it's a Spelljammer creature. Large aberration. False appearance. Looks like an asteroid. Likes to eat things. Anti-magic gullet. Can't use magic inside of its tummy. That would disable your mecha. False appearance. Unusual nature. I can see Eyemongers wandering around out there. Their CR is 10. Their size is large. If we upscaled you to 100 feet, you have 349 hit points. You deal 6 times the normal damage. Your bite deals 2d6, so it'd be 14d6 plus 35 damage. Okay, let's go with it. Eyemonger. Eyemonger Kaiju. This way, if we ever go chasing monsters in the asteroid field, we could have an Eyemonger pop out and be a real menace. AC 17, HP. Because it's going to be 200 feet in size, we're going to ramp it up. So it's going to have, at 200 feet, it's going to have an extra 400 hit points, so 549 hit points. Let's see. CR 10. So let's see. CR10. That is up to 1, up to 5, up to 9, up to 13. That is, holy shit. That's a 4th rank kaiju. equals 1d10 Bastion points damage per hour. It is bite. +9. Its range is automatically its size, 200 feet reach. Does 2d6, but it's 7, so it's 14d6 plus 35 damage, piercing. Anti-magic tummy. The Eyemonger can swallow one creature at a time. A swallowed creature is blinded and restrained, has a total cover against attacks and other effects originating outside the Eyemonger, and takes 35 10d6 acid damage at the start of each of its turns. It's not going to deal more acid damage than normal because the acid isn't any stronger than it normally would be. Anti-magic tummy. Swallow. Does it automatically swallow? DC 18. Swallow equals DC 18 equals Dex. Sorry. Dex DC 18 for swallowed equals restrained plus 10d6 acid damage per round. This thing's no joke, man. 25 damage or more on a single turn from a creature inside its gullet. Anti-magic tummy spits you out if takes 35 35 out of 149, what, 25 out of 149, that's 1/6. So if it takes, Jesus, if it takes 90 damage, so I'm just going to say when it takes 90 damage, it'll spit you out. There we go. Bite, any magic tummy. It doesn't require air. There we go. That's your Eyemonger. 200-foot Eyemonger. So that would be incredibly dangerous for our 20-foot mecha, like retarded difficult. I would say its dexterity. I would say its dexterity would be, because it outscales our mecha by 10. It's going to be a DC 28. That's ridiculous. And to that point, our Kaiju, no, our Chol. Because it's at the 50-foot scale, its DC would only be 14 because that's matching the size of our mecha. And our fortress is 500 feet in size, so our fortress could fight these Eyemongers, but it also doesn't have protection against siege weapons. So it's a huge threat that is too big for our mecha to really do any significant damage. And in fact, you could just get swallowed and destroyed, because once you're inside of it, it's anti-magic, you're dead. So if the team fights one of these, it's probably going to be in our 500-foot carrier ship using siege weapons to attack it. And in which case, it would be easy. Trebuchet do D8 times 10 damage per shot. And the carrier should have, I think it has 4 of them right now, with tons of room for more as we spend Bastion turns building up more weapons and crew. So Eyemonger, that's a good one. Let's see what else we got. Should have time for another one or two. We got time for one more. Again, if there's anything specifically you guys want to see, let me know, and I will build it. But as you see, it doesn't take a lot to build them. We're doing this so we can figure out what is our growth curve. So what is a flying horror? That might be fun. Oh my god, that's nightmare fuel. Let's do it. Flying horror, CR is 3, so it's 2nd rank. And what do we want to do? How large do we want to make this one? It's either going to be 50 feet, 100 feet, or 200 feet. So let's roll Let's roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. 1, 2, 3. So it's 50 foot. AC. 16 HP. Since it's 50 feet, it has an extra 100 hit points, so 149 hit points. This is pretty much in league with the Chol. CR5. It's Bastion point damage equals, again, 1d6 per hour. And what does it deal? Ooh, vulnerable to radiant damage. That's cool. Neat. Traits. Look at that. Slop. Fear Frenzy. The horror has advantage on attack rolls against frightened creatures. We can look up these things as we go along. Claws. There we go. And it does not have multi-attack. So claws equal +7 to hit. 50-foot reach. It would deal 1d6, but it deals 5d6 damage because it is using 5 times the size. And it's +5, so it's going to be 5d6 plus 25. Slashing damage? Oof. Slashing. And the psychic damage just doesn't increase. So the psychic attack isn't very effective. 4d6 psychic damage. Because it's not a physical attack. That's why its damage isn't increasing that way. Its psychic damage remains the same. And all these things have flight. All kaiju have wings. Or some means of flying. Terror Screech, 300 foot. It's 10 squares at the 50-foot scale. DC 13 or frightened. Ending the effect, the frightened creature can repeat the saving throw. Frightened 1 minute, the frightened creature can repeat its saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on success. The creature's saving throw is successful, the effect ends or it frightened screech for 24 hours. This is, I don't know why they need to add all of that, because we all know frightened condition, it's the same thing for everybody. If it had any kicker, it could just be frightened condition, save every turn, kicker effect equals blank. But it doesn't really need that. Terror, what is it? Wisdom C? Is it a wisdom? Yeah. Wisdom, DC 13 or frightened. Frightened creatures. What? Frightened creatures equal attack with ADV. There. Easy enough. That was easy. These things aren't difficult to do. One more. We'll do one more and then we'll go. If anyone has any specific ones that you want to elect, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to build some stuff. So let's see the next thing that comes along that seems cool. Fragment of Krokulm? Yeah, let's find out more about you, dude. Keys from the Golden Vault. Fuck off. Super obnoxious. Gadge. Typically neutral evil. Let's find out more about you, Gadge. Ooh, look at that. That's a Gadge. That looks like Kaiju material to me, don't you think? That's perfect for Kaiju. Okay, so what is it? It's CR4, so it's going to be second rank. Let's make it 100 feet in size. So Gadge, Kaiju, 100 feet. So Gadge, 50-foot Gadge. So again, looking at our table, this is how we scale up Damage, this is the amount of extra hit points that they get at the added sizes. This is the extra damage that they deal at the advanced sizes, and that's the multiplier for their damage bonus, like on your strength bonus for damage on attacks and stuff like that. So, looking at the Gadge again. So we'll start at the beginning. AC 16. Since it's 100 feet, it has an extra 200 hit points. So hit points equals 275. What does it have? Multi-attack. 1 mandible and uses Mind Probe. Multi equals mandible plus Mind Probe. Or paralysis, or paralyze. Or paralyze. Mandible. Mandible equals +5 to hit. That doesn't change. Reaches 100 feet because of its size. One creature, it hits for 2 dice, but it's 7 times scale. Again, looking at our table. 100 feet in size. Oh, 100 feet in size is, that's right, 100 feet in size is 6 times the dice. And the amount of damage that this does at its normal scale is 2d6, so it's going to be 12d6 damage. Plus, and it's 6 times plus 18 piercing, slashing. That's super fucking dangerous. That's a lot of damage, dude. That's going to be on average around 36, 46. It's going to be around 50 damage every time it hits. And at 5th level, our characters only have about 75 hit points with their mecha. So they don't have a ton of hits. So this is the kind of thing that they're going to have to be very careful if they decide to fight it. Like anything that's 100 feet in size or larger is something that they're in general going to have to be really fucking careful about because they're going to be big and dangerous. 50 feet or less, they can handle. 100 feet in size, that's a lot. That's dangerous. That's the kind of thing that they want to use their carrier ship and siege weapons again. But again, you have to flush it out. I mean, you can hit 100-foot Gadge with siege weapons even if they have cover. They'll get the armor class bonus, but they still but they're not immune to siege weapons. And again, your ballista does like D4 times 10. Catapults do D6 times 10. Trebuchets take D8 times 10, but they're all each one of those is slower the more damage that it deals. So it actually balances out pretty nicely. But yeah, this is definitely a siege weapon attack sort of thing, which the characters control the siege weapons and the carrier craft. So they're just basically doing ship combat against 100. Like they have a 500-foot carrier. This Gadge is only 100 feet. Chances are it's going to try to run away. Or, if it runs away, it might come back with others, maybe. Who knows? But, so Mandible does stupid damage. Let's look at the other things. Until the grapple ends, the target takes slashing damage at the start of each... Ooh, Jesus. Grapple is... Grapple... DC 21 because it's 100 feet instead of being at the 50-foot scale. Once it's over 50 feet in size, it increases by 10. So, let's see. Mandible, DC 21. While grapple, take 12d6 plus. While grappled, bonus action deals mandible damage automatic. And it has mind probing. The mind probe is not going to change. It doesn't change damage because it's mental. Psychic stuff doesn't change damage when it scales. The Gadge targets one, but ships are immune to psychic damage. But when you hit somebody with psychic attacks, like a ray like this or whatever, like a probing, like a distance psychic attack, it hits the pilot, not the machine. So even larger sized Gadge are still going to only do deal 3d10 psychic damage, because the psychic damage doesn't scale, but it doesn't attack the ship. It attacks the characters that are piloting the ships. So in that sense, 5th level characters are, and this is a CR4 creature. They'll take 15 damage from mind probe attacks like that. There you go. So mind probing antenna. It's a wisdom DC. Mind probe. Wiz DC 12. Fail equals 3d10 psychic. One piece of information to the target's mind that the gadget wants to know. Plus learns plus 1 answer, or 1/2 no answer. That's cool. Where's the food? This guy's gonna eat food. He's gonna be a food hunter for sure. Paralyze. Recharge 6. The gadget magically targets one creature it can see within 60 feet of itself. Oh, it's a psychic attack. Cool. Let's see. Wiz DC 12. Fail equals paralyze 1 minute. 1 minute. Save at end. There you go. 600-foot range. There. That does it. And this does, since it's a CR4, it deals Bastion damage. It deals 1d6 Bastion points of damage to facilities per hour. It makes 1 attack per hour at the Rampage scale. Anything else I need to know about this guy? No, that's about it. Hey, this is making kaiju. Like, that's how easy it is. Now, the DM's job is, like, anything up to 50 feet in size is basically going to operate inside that 50-foot scale. Anything between 50 and 100 feet in size is effectively 100 feet in size. It kind of rounds up. 200, 300, 400, like a 150-foot kaiju is operating essentially the same as a 200-foot kaiju, just with less hit points. It wouldn't have 400 extra hit points. It'd have 300 extra 100 hit points at the 150-foot scale. So you can scale the damage up and down a little bit. If it hits a little bit, like if it's a little bit too strong, you can, like, I could have this be, like, this Eyemonger could be 150 hit points instead. So it would have 449 hit points, but it would still be sitting easily inside of a 500-foot square, or it would occupy a 3x3 space at the 50-foot scale. But our carrier ship occupies a 10x10 space at the 50-foot scale because it's a 500-foot dwarven stone fortress. Literally just floats around, piloted by Spelljammer. Spelljammer in this system, Spelljammer helms can attach to and pilot vehicles up to 500 feet in scale. So the dwarven citadel always pushes that limit. It's a 500-foot hewn rock that they slowly carve into the shape of a dwarven's head, or just like a giant fist or a hammer or whatever they want to shape it into. Normally, it would be like a sign of respect to carve it into the face of, like, the current king of the clan, like the current clan. It'd be a carving of that king. And so all these different dwarven citadels that have been created further back in time are of older generations of kings that ran that clan. So fun stuff. Yeah. So we can mess around with that. This is all looking pretty good. If this ends up being too heavy, like, we could back the flying horror down to, like, say 30 feet. So it's only dealing, like, it would only be doing 46. No, it'd be dealing 46 plus 20 damage. If we scaled it down to 30 feet like that. 30 or 40 feet's the same. 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then 100, 200, 300. There you go. I think I'm pretty happy with that. The gauge, I think I want to make the gauge a little bit smaller. Let's call it. It doesn't change that much. Let's call it 75 feet in size. So that would be that way it's 150 feet. That's added, not 150 hit points instead of 200. That'll trim it down a little bit. So it'd be 225 hit points instead of 275. But the damage is still going to be the same. 10. Technically, I could probably drop it down to like 96 since I trimmed off 25 feet of its 100 feet. Yeah, literally 3/4 of that, and then 3/4 of this would be 12. There you go. So it'd be plus 5, 96 plus 12 because it's 75 feet, not 100. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And the psychic damage, now it's starting to get a little bit more reasonable for the team to fight. The damage trims down a lot as you drop the size. That, I think that works. We're still, again, this is a playtest, so I'm still fleshing out the mechanics. So far, it's really easy to build these, but now we're looking at nuances and catches and caveats when we're building these things. So it's 9 o'clock. I've been at this for like, what, about an hour and a half maybe? I'm going to go ahead and cut, yeah, we've been at this for an hour and 40. I'm going to go ahead and cut stream for the night. But I do this on Mondays and Thursday nights. We do artwork on Monday through Fridays in the morning, so I'll be back tomorrow morning, continuing working on Eberron art for the adventure we're publishing. Saturday morning, I'll be back on to do 5e D&D using the color mana system from Magic the Gathering instead of Fantasy and spell slots and the 8 schools. We replace them with the 5 colors and the color mana spell points instead of spell slots. You can watch us designing stuff like that on Saturday mornings. I don't know if we're going to have enough people to do playtesting on my Discord, but we do playtesting at 12:30 Eastern time till 4 p.m. And that's on, as long as I have at least 2 or more playtesters. Right now we're looking for people to play combat rugby, PvP rugby with us. We need at least 2 players to run a match, and we have till Saturday morning to get any 2014, 2024, or any of my variant rules are street legal for playing Mage Tower, which is Magic the Gathering Rugby. And we built it into a 5e PvP combat system where your characters are in an arena either trying to kill each other or score points on the goal. Either way. So hey, that's some of the stuff that we're playing with. So if you're interested, be welcome to jump down into my Discord community, which is down here. We're looking for playtesters. Here's a bunch of books that I've published already. Here's the Spelljammer book that I published already. We're going to modify spellcasting. And then our campaign that we've been working in here. And then the Bastion campaign that we use to build the communities and the structures in the communities. The Kaiju Constructs. This is going to be the playtest document that will eventually be built out into the book that supplements our Spelljammer. That's all our stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. I hope to catch up with some of you guys tomorrow morning during our art stream, or maybe over the weekend while we do Magic the Gathering 5e stuff, or maybe Monday next week, on Monday night next week, when we build out some more Kaiju. We're going to build out some Spelljammer pirates in their ships, so we can look at Spelljammer like ship mechanics, and I've got more ideas for the communities I want to build out with Bastions. So we'll probably be doing that for the next week or so, and then we'll probably start really diving into fleshing out the Bastion campaign as a book for us to publish. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate everyone that's been checking out the channel and hanging out with me. And again, if you got any questions, be welcome to join my Discord and ask anything that you want. I'm happy to share what I have and share my philosophies and my ideas and help show you how to use these things if you want to use them in your own campaign and play test them with me. So I'll see you guys soon. Cheers. Thanks a lot.